Hey, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us with another episode of Throat Punch Monday. I'm Len Clark, your host, Pacific Tita with Veteran Trash Talk, and I have the mental health warrior, Clifford Bobbitt. I can't talk today, you guys.
That's okay.
I'm with Clifford Bobbitt and our special guest, Cornetta. So excited to have you with us today on the show. But before we get into it, and what Cornetta does, she's actually a speech pathologist? Speech
Yep.
language pathologist. Okay. I have to get that all straight now. I can't. It's just so funny how I say that I can't talk today and we have a speech pathologist on the show. Like, what? That was not on purpose. Okay.
We should have been doing some exercises before we started.
I know, like some voice exercises, something. I don't know.
Some word exercises.
I know nothing about that field, but I'm interested to hear more about it and how you're helping not only children, but also like military families and all that. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and just talk some story. Cliff, do you have anything to say or anything you want to share with our audience today?
Yeah, so normally I wear the Veterans Trash Talk t-shirt, but today I'm wearing a t-shirt from Black Bear Diner. They're friends of mine. I've eaten it there several times when I was on the West Coast, and they're doing an Instagram promotion thing that was random acts of kindness. And I just think that's really nice, and especially with the mental health warrior and kind of what we're talking about. And, I ate at Black Bear Diner when I was out doing speaking events because I was just kind of mentally tired and just kind of needed that comfort food we all like, the fried chicken or all the bad stuff we normally don't eat when we're home. And so I went there and ate, and I take pictures of my food because, people know that I travel and they like, for me to kind of do that. And it's kind of fun. And so I was posting pictures and they responded. And so that was kind of cool. And so over the past year, we just kind of, trade back and forth, and I share stuff and comment on their posts. But I really think it's a nice thing that they do. And I know they don't sponsor the show or anything. I'm just saying this.
Black Bear Diner, sponsor us.
I know, right? Come on down. Come on. That's great. But it was nice of them to send me the t-shirt because they had started this thing with, random acts of kindness. And I commented on their post saying, what a great thing to do is just, pick up the phone and call a friend that maybe you hadn't talked to a long time, or a family member or something like that. And, how different that could just, make people think about themselves on that day. Just walking up and saying hi, or how are you, or how are you doing today? It can just really change, a person's perspective. So today, in honor of that, I'm wearing their t-shirt, and I'll make sure they know that I'm talking about them. So,
well, show us the t-shirt. Let's see what it says.
It says, kindness is contagious. Pass it on.
That's
Black
great.
Bear Diner.
Yeah.
And they got a bear on the sleeve. Yeah. So if you're out there on the West Coast, or if you look it up, if Black Bear's in your diner, I think they got 180 restaurants. Please stop in and eat there. The food is excellent. I ate there several times when I was in California and never had a bad meal. So it was really awesome.
I actually ate there once in Oklahoma, and we kind of talked about it. So I didn't know that it was a West Coast thing, or else I would have gone all the time.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know if they have any here in Florida. Do they don't have it there in Virginia?
No, but I'd have to go out and look at all the different locations. I don't think I got a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should talk them into coming to Virginia. We need one. Black Bear Diner.
Yeah, that's a great message. Kindness is contagious.
I know.
So I mean, like, pay it forward and stuff like that, or just to be kind to somebody. You never know like how that's going to change their day, or like make their day, because somebody might be having a bad day. You never know what they're going through, right?
Yeah.
All right, Ms Ms Pittman. Introduce yourself. Who are you, and why do I want to know you? No, I know. No, so I'm so happy that you're with us on our show today. But let our audience know a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Cornetta Pittman. I am a speech language pathologist, treating mostly pediatrics in Virginia, from birth up until 18, and I recently started working with adults in acute care as well too. So a little bit of everything. I'm glad you guys got me on the show today. I'm so excited.
So I want to know, Cliff, how did you come across this? Cliff found Cornetta for us. How did y'all meet, and what was that conversation like?
Well, we won't go into great detail, but Cornetta's been helping my younger son. He had, I don't know the medical term, but he had a lazy eye. So we found this out when he was very young, and we were lucky because most people, when their sons have this condition or child has this condition, they don't find out till later on and they get way behind. So basically with my son, Lloyd, when he would look at words that were together, like if he had the word the, he would only see one letter. He wouldn't see the whole word. And he was just, we just found this out right before COVID hit. And then of course the kids were out of school and everything. And so if you would cover up to the letters, like the T and the E, he could see the H. But if you remove your fingers, the words would blur and he couldn't see them. And so he was a little bit behind in reading, and he didn't associate the right sound with words. And so through TRICARE and other things, we've gone and seen Cornetta, and she's done wonderful things for Lloyd and really built his confidence as a child. And it's really nice to see. And I was thinking, you know, with Linda on and last week and with what she talked about, how great would it be? Because a lot of parents, you know, like I talked to a good friend of mine, and he said he had that same problem, but they didn't catch it till he was in 8th grade. And he was so far behind, you know, just didn't realize. And we were lucky that we finally found an optometrist that just didn't say he had a astigmatism, because that's what they were telling him. We went to an optometrist, and he was very patient with Lloyd, because Lloyd, you know, he was only 5 at the time, and really took his time going through the eye test and find out, you know, this was the problem that he had. And so we're very thankful for that. When I was young in school, my brother knocked out my 2 front teeth. And so, when I was young, so it took a long time for my 2 front teeth to grow back in, like 2 years. It was crazy. But I learned, I had to go to a speech therapist to learn how to say R's correctly and different letters, because my mouth, I didn't have my teeth to block my tongue. So my tongue would move forward, and I was swallowing backwards, and they had to reteach me how to swallow along with pronouncing certain words the correct way, because I didn't do it because it took so long for my teeth to grow in. So she doesn't know that story about me. She just found that out.
No, that's
So they used to stick a little bitty rubber band on the tip of my tongue, and to remind me it wouldn't stay there, just, you know, when I was in speech therapy, to remind me to put my tongue on the top of my mouth when I talked and other things. So that's great. So that's how I got to know her. And I really thought it would be nice to have her come on the show, because maybe, you know, some parents out there, you know, their children is struggling and don't really understand why, or don't even know that these types of programs exist out there. And I think it would be really nice for her to come on and educate her. And so I asked her, I begged her, pleaded with her. No, I didn't do that. And she was so welcome. She's a very busy lady. She works several jobs. So I was really grateful that she was able to come on here, and I'll shut up now and let her.
Yeah, so as Cliff mentioned, I think a lot of people associate speech therapy and speech language therapy with just saying those sounds. So we treat so many things, though. We treat the saying the sounds, recognizing those sounds during reading and writing. We treat feeding and swallowing, as well as language delays. So I get a lot of younger children who aren't quite speaking as well or at all for their age. So many things that we work on. And yes.
That's great. 'Cause I did not know that there's an entire spectrum of speech language pathology. Like you mentioned, the swallowing and the reading, the lazy eye thing affects your speech. I had no clue. And so I think that this is very helpful for many parents, especially with younger children who don't know that it could be you know, treated.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
what kind of sort of treatments do you do with the people, children and adults?
So we have the feeding therapy, where we're working on increasing the amount of foods that children eat. So I see a lot of children that maybe only eat 2 or 3 things daily, like at all. So just chicken nuggets or just French fries. And that's it. So we work on increasing their intake of different foods. For swallowing, actually getting those foods down. Another thing that isn't widely known is that speech therapists, since we're so familiar with the anatomy that's related to speech, that's mostly the same anatomy that's also related to eating and swallowing. So when you think about the teeth, the tongue, all of those things are used for both eating and speech. Yeah, we do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Like you would never think that.
think
you
so.
have a child that's a picky eater, how do you introduce new food to him? Because I think, a lot of parents find, now Lloyd, he eats pretty wide range of food. The kid would eat salmon and rice every day if I'd let him.
I mean, even like if you go to the restaurants, right? They give the kids menu, and on the kids menu is the same thing: grilled cheese, hamburger, chicken nuggets. It's
Yeah,
just macaroni and
just
cheese,
want to eat
pizza.
a few things. It's so
Mhm.
so it's really collaborative. It's working with the family. So usually our sessions with them are only 30 minutes to an hour. So we talk about kind of chaining those foods that they already eat. So if they eat, for instance, they eat only McDonald's chicken nuggets, but nothing else, kind of saying, okay, well, he eats chicken nuggets from McDonald's. Maybe we can introduce some chicken nuggets from home, some frozen chicken nuggets. Maybe from there we can introduce some chicken. So kind of chaining it from what they already have. So we talk about those things during our session. We try those foods, get them comfortable with some of those foods, kind of explore the foods. And then we give them homework. We give them homework for our picky eaters. So then they go home and it's the parents' turn to introduce those foods. So yeah, yes.
That's definitely a challenge for all parents.
Uh-huh.
So parents listening out there with young ones, you have a picky eater and you're in the Virginia area, send them to go see Cornetta.
Yeah.
So also on your on the bio that you sent me, you mentioned that you put together a program to service different communities. What is it? Underserved communities. Tell us a little bit about that, and how did you do that, and what made you start that?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, it holds a special part in my heart.
Mhm.
I originally got the idea when I was in graduate school at Hampton University. That was part of our program. Our teachers actually gave us an address and they said, meet us here at 9 o'clock. And then we came there and then we realized where we were and what we were there to do. So we went to a neighborhood in Norfolk, Virginia. We gave free hearing screenings, free speech and language screenings in some of those underserved communities. And I really enjoyed it. I saw the impact that it made in those communities, and I wanted to do it for some of my own communities or my community from where I was from. So I went home, and the first part of it was really talking with those families, really traveling on foot in the community, walking around. I put my parents, my family to work too with some resources. And I asked around, do you have any, or do you know of any children with any communication delays or any reading difficulties, anything that you would seek speech therapy for, and kind of explained a little bit more about what I did. And they were really receptive of it. There were so many people who said, yeah, my 2-year-old isn't speaking at all. We haven't really seeked any speech therapy. They're not in school. So they were able to ask their questions. I was able to give them some resources and some steps of what to do next. And after that, after going around the community and kind of getting to know the need for it and what the people in the community were looking for, I also set up some free speech and language hearing screenings, and I was able to do that in 2 separate communities. And I'm hoping to do it again really soon because it was a really great experience.
That's really great work. Congratulations. That sounds really awesome that you're able to do that for them. Um, were you able, did you set up a booth or did you have like a traveling mobile clinic? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so what I did, I was able to reach out to the Richmond City, I don't want to quote them wrong, Richmond City Health Department or something along that lines. And they gave me a space in their resource centers. So it was right there in the neighborhoods, right there in the communities. So they didn't have to travel. I didn't have to, I was stationary right there. And the parents and the children came in. We also gave them some gift cards for our first few families to come in. So yes, it worked out really well.
And so you,
That's really great. No, sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
no, go ahead, Cliff. I
wanna
talked too
say,
much.
it's funny,
It's your turn.
I led in with the Black Bear
Mhm.
Diner, pay it forward or a random act of kindness. And now, Kanetta's on here talking about what she does for the community and giving out, because I know for Lloyd,
Mhm.
when that doctor flipped that screen, it almost brought me to tears. Well, it did. It brought me to tears. I'm just going to say it. When that boy could see for the first time
Mm.
those letters on that screen, he was so excited. And, we were so elated that we finally figured it out. And as parents, you always want the best for your kid, but sometimes you just don't know what that best is or how to help them if you don't fully understand. And some of these kids, and I'm sure you've seen this a lot, Connect, with what you do, that, just, being able to let them know that that they're not stupid or they're not dumb. They just have this little bitty issue. And once you fix it, it's amazing just to see how fast they flourish.
Yeah.
But also too, with the parents helping them understand
Mhm.
that, their kid isn't less or not equal to, or something like that. Just knowing that, we all grow up differently. We all have different issues and problems, and everything's great. But I mean, this thing, I know for my son, has made a huge impact and improvement in his life. Just him being able to read and formulate the sounds with the words again. And we've seen it in school and how much he's improved with that. And so it's really amazing that you go out to these communities and do this and help them, because some people don't have insurance or they can't afford it. And even though you're there just to do screening and just give the parents some hope, because then they could go back to the school and
Exactly.
say, because schools always have programs, am I right,
Yeah.
on this, and ask the school for help
Mhm.
if they know there's something going on with their child. So that's really great. And I hope, and I know you've probably helped thousands of kids by now just by doing that. And that's really great. And I just want to say thanks for doing that, because it's really awesome what you do. And so many people don't understand what you do. And that's why I thought this was important to come on and talk about it.
For sure. Thank you.
Virtual hug.
And like you said, I think explaining and giving that information to the parents really does help the family as a whole just understand what is going on and have hope. So for sure.
What resources can you give us now, or are there any kind of websites that people can look to see if they can seek this type of help if they need any of this help?
Yeah, so I would start with if ages birth to 3, I would start with the local early intervention services. So it varies by locality, but early intervention would be a good start for ages birth to 3. From 3 on up, the public school, like Clifton mentioned, the public school does have those services. So those speech therapy services, and they target all of those things as well. Maybe not as much as the feeding or the swallowing aspects of it, but they do target the reading, they target the articulation, so saying those sounds, and those language development. So those would be great places to start.
That's awesome. Now I know Cliff, you said you used TRICARE
Yeah.
to go see Cornetta. So do you have are you working with a hospital? Do you have your own clinic, your own practice? And tell us a little bit about that and the military, your impact on the military community.
Uh-huh. So yes, you can also seek services through insurance or TRICARE. About at least half of the clients that I do see are from military backgrounds. I don't have my own clinic right now at the moment. In the future, I do plan to see patients, but that's in the future. I work in a private practice in Woodbridge now, but that is definitely an option. Um, Impact with the military family. Yes. So another part of that is, so as you guys are familiar, so military families, sometimes they're stationed somewhere for a little bit and then they're gone. So really building that connection while you have them there is super, super important. And knowing that for some of them, this might not be their last stop. So making sure that you're able to help them, whether it's like by giving a referral or giving some other resources on their next stop. So where they're headed to. So taking good notes, helping them find someone if those services need to continue. That's been important too. And then also military families that are new to the area, we've come up with a list of resources of doctors, pediatricians, extracurricular activities, because those are always questions that we get as well. Within the last week, I had maybe 2 parents, both military, ask about haircuts, haircuts for children with special needs, suggestions for places to go. So if you guys know any hair
Wow.
barbers.
That is a new market
Yeah.
to tap into. I never thought about that. Actually, my oldest son, he's going to be 21 in June, and he's autistic. He has autism. And so he's on the spectrum. He had that speech delay. He wasn't talking for a long time. And thankfully, his dad is with him all the time, a full-time dad, because I was in the military and deployed a lot. So they worked with him closely. So now he's kind of talking, but as best as he can. And I didn't know that, all this other things that you're talking about, the resources, especially helping military families when they transition. It's so hard to find somebody you trust, and then you don't want to explain everything all over again and go through things over and over again. And unfortunately for some families, that is the reality. Like every 3 years, they got to go find someone new. And that's the whole reason why my oldest son has stayed with his dad in San Diego, because I continuously just moved every 3 years, and it was just easier to keep him in one place.
Yeah, for sure. And some of my families who do choose to have the children moved with the parent that is also moving, we do see those, especially for our children with autism, we see different behaviors and kind of managing those behaviors related to the change. So we talk about that as well, talk about how to establish routine. So
that's very important, that routine also.
Yeah.
As it's hard to establish a routine if you have to leave, every 3 years on assignment. So that's really great.
And it's tough. And you bring up a good point, Kenneth. It's really great that you do this, is that, when you transition from one place to another, it's that continuance of care sometimes, and for mental health or for whatever it is. And the fact that you'll take that extra step and reach out and give them resources to where they're going, if they'll let you know, that really goes, far beyond, because, you may go to an area and you don't know anybody, like you were saying, you're trying to find somebody to give special haircuts for special needs kids. And that's a big thing. So, a friend of mine, his son's are artistic, and he's, I don't know, 17 now. But I mean, to go to get a haircut, we think that's so simple, but for them, it's not.
It's a lot.
For him to go to a dentist because his teeth, aren't that great. And I don't know if that's a common problem, but it's a struggle for them, because, just to get him to go to the dentist is a problem. And you can't just show up there with him. You have to explain it to them in a way they do. And they do a great job with him. But so it's very difficult, and it's already a stressful time for the family, right? To move, and everybody's been in the military, moved every 3 years. We understand it, and it's hard on the kids, because they have to make new friends all the time, and this, that, and the other. And so it's really good that if your son or daughter is struggling, and I would say if you're seeing somebody, please let them know where you're going and ask if they can help you find those resources when you get there, because it's already a stressful situation. So why not just go ahead and take that extra step and just ask, because, all they can do is say yes or no.
Right. Go ahead, Cornetta. Sorry. Were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. Speaking of mental health, I'm glad you mentioned that, Cliff. Cornetta, you mentioned that you have to keep up with your mental health. Just like any job, there's burnout, and in any job, I think everything can get super stressful, especially that you're so busy and you're helping other people. What are some of the things that you do to help yourself to overcome burnout, or just to take time for yourself? What are those things?
I think just unwinding after work. So it's so easy to go home and replay the day in your mind, like, oh, I could have said this, I should have said this, I should have done this. Oh, let me call this person, let me email this person. So kind of setting those boundaries for yourself, because like you said, comes with every job, that burnout. So realizing that when I get home, it's time for me to read a book, watch a movie, relax. So that's super important.
Said you
I
like
think,
to cook. So
oh, yeah, I
what
like,
kind of dishes do you cook? And how come we didn't get a dish yet or a plate?
Yeah, I know, right? Because we love to eat on
I
this.
know. It's about dinner time.
right. So my grandma on my mom's side is really Southern. Well, she's from the
Okay.
Carolinas, but
Hmm.
she's pretty Southern. And I always tried to like watch her. She actually wasn't too fond of having us in the kitchen with her. So she's like the
That
main.
was her space. That was her
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It was her
yeah.
space. She prepared the meals, like Sunday dinners, all the holidays. So I've been trying to kind of tap into that and try some of her dishes that I liked a lot. I actually did Thanksgiving last Thanksgiving, and it came out good.
Oh,
People
so
still liked it, so
a lot of people say that turkey is like the main dish of the show for Thanksgiving, but for me, it's the macaroni, the mac and cheese. Like,
exactly.
yes, that's
Yeah.
it. Like, I'm excited about the macaroni and cheese all the time.
Exactly.
So what did you prepare for Thanksgiving?
Oh, so much. So it was a soul food dinner with mac and cheese and candied yams.
Ooh,
And
Mm.
there was so much. Instead of turkey, I'm not a fan of turkey. It's like,
I don't like turkey either.
yeah, my grandma makes like turkey wings. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like chicken wings,
Oh,
but
yeah.
turkey. Yeah, I made
Oh,
some of
that's nice.
those. Yeah. Some green beans. There was a lot. There was a lot. Those are my
Collard greens.
favorite.
I had a
Yeah,
friend of
Hmm.
mine made
collard
really
greens,
good collard greens. Man,
collard greens. Yeah. So
mhm.
all of those things. Yeah.
That sounds good. Now I'm hungry. Yeah, at my house, I'm the only one that likes turkey, so I always get outvoted on Thanksgiving. So normally we get a whole chicken, and I'll stuff it with chicken and stuff.
Yeah, I would be the one to get a chicken
Yeah,
for
and so I
Thanksgiving.
roast a chicken because they don't want turkey, but I want turkey. But like I used to grow up. I'm Greek on my mom's side of the family. She was first generation here
Uh-huh.
in America, and so I learned how to cook Greek food. I do all the cooking in my house, and I just love cooking. And so it's funny. When when I used to travel, before my wife got stationed in Rhode Island, when I was gone, Lloyd be like, "Hey, mom, when's dad coming back?" Because he's just so used to the way I cook stuff, and I was like, yeah, I just thought that was funny. But I and it just, to me, it's just relaxing, right, to go and cook. And I know, Lynn, the other day you were posting pictures of and I still got to make that. I got to get that.
Oxtail, yeah.
Yeah, so I still got the oxtail in the
Hmm.
freezer. And so Lynn posted a picture for making oxtail, and it looked
Hmm.
really good. So I had to get the recipe from her. So I think next weekend, because I keep saying I'm going to make it because I love me some good oxtail.
So good. It's so good. I always make this joke. My husband and I have been married for 10 years now, but when we first met, he didn't cook at all. And then so I would encourage him to cook and then show him recipes, or he would find these easy, quick recipes on Facebook and then would try them out. And I forget what the channel was, but he would watch this channel on Facebook and it was like quick 10 minutes. And then I was like, yeah, do that. And then like ever since then, he learned how to cook whenever he's around. I don't cook anymore. I'm like, I taught you how to cook for a reason, so I don't have to do it.
There you go. Yeah.
But now that we're like doing the long distance thing, he's actually stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. So now I've been cooking every day again. And of course, mom, I think I cook better than him, of course. But if when he's around, I'm lazy and I just chill and relax. So I take that
That's
time for myself.
You know, it's funny because every time I cook a meal here at the house, I cook extra and then I freeze it. So then when we go see the wife in Rhode Island, I always have all these meals for her
Okay.
because she's very busy with her job. And that way, and I know that if I don't do that, we've been together for almost 15 years, she won't eat or she will eat very little. So I package things and I freeze it and I bring it up to her. I mean, when I was in the military before I retired, I went to training and I was gone for like, I don't know, 45 days. And so I had prepared meals for the boys and for her and put them all in the freezer, labels on what they were and how to heat them up and all this other stuff, just to make things a lot easier for her when I was gone. But, you know, it's just because I like to cook.
So, Cornetta, you speak about a mentorship program a lot and that you do speaking events. What kind of speaking events do you do? And what kind of mentorship do you do? Or what is it? You said, I can't talk today, you guys. I am like at a loss for words. Let me look up what you said. Okay. I'm huge on mentorship. Okay. The importance. So tell us about the importance of mentorship and stuff like that.
Yeah. So mentorship is something that's really important to me. And I mentor mostly informally little kids, even while I guess I do a little bit in my work too, without noticing it. Like during our sessions as well, I'm being a mentor. But also kids, mostly from back at home, as well as students pursuing this field. So this is a field that is fairly small still, but there's such a big need for it. So I do try to encourage students that are pursuing the field to get everything right with school, to study as hard as they can, kind of help them navigate the ins and outs of everything. I'm currently a mentor. I have 2 mentees through the American Speech, Language, and Hearing Association. I was a mentee myself and a mentor for the Speech, Language, Hearing Association of Virginia. So super, super important. And I think I answered all of your questions.
I don't even remember my own questions from 2 minutes ago. So
Before we started,
think-
so what made you decide to go into this field?
Oh, okay. So I knew from early on that I wanted to work with kids. I think my junior year in high school, I took a child development course at our technical center. So I was going to high school. I was going to my actual high school twice a week, and then twice a week or every other day. So every other day I would be at either my high school or the tech center. And that became part of my high school curriculum. And in the program, I explored many different fields. So teaching, reading specialists, and speech pathology came up. Not one that we discussed too much, but it came up. So I was like, that sounds interesting. I'm gonna look into it a little bit more. And that's what I did. And I really enjoyed it from there.
That's awesome. You know, you talked about being at Hampton University. I know right where that is because I was stationed at Fort Monroe.
Oh,
Years.
yeah.
I used to go to the laundromat there by the Hampton
Oh,
University.
I think I know which one.
There was a Burger King at the end before it closed, right?
Yeah,
and I go get breakfast at the Burger King and go to finish my laundry. But I always go early in the morning because, you know, college kids, they're still, you know, on Sundays, they're still hungover from the party. So it was never busy. Yeah, that's a beautiful area down there. I really like the Norfolk area and the Hampton.
oh, is that in Norfolk area?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just Norfolk's across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
Mhm.
So you have to cross the bridge to go down into the Norfolk area. But yeah, it's right before. Yeah, it's beautiful. And history down there. A lot of people don't realize, you know, they heard about Jamestown and Williamsburg, but there's so many other little towns around there, and it's just so much history. And it's just a really nice place to be.
What do they call it? Like a commonwealth or something like I have no idea. I'm not a Virginia's for lovers. I guess I'm not a lover. I'm just
you know, they got that slogan for a long time. They just brought it back a couple years ago.
Did they get rid of it?
No, they did, but they brought it back.
Oh, okay. I just know when I was in I was stationed in Virginia a long time ago, like 2004, and I was like 21. And so it was actually Virginia Beach. And I
Mhm.
remember walking down the boardwalk, and then there's a signs with a no sign, and then it says like pound exclamation point at whatever, obviously no cursing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's wild. No cursing on the boardwalk. How do they regulate that? So that
You know,
was
it's funny, when I, in the late 80s, when I went to training at Fort Eustis, we'd go down to Virginia Beach, and it was straight up party town. I mean,
oh yeah.
it was crazy. This is in the late 80s, early 90s. And then they decided they wanted to make it more family friendly, and then they kind of changed it all. But yeah, it was straight up party
Oh, in
area.
the early 2000s, it was party town. Like on the beach was like club, bar, bar, bar. And then now I go back. I went back a couple years ago, and now my husband's stationed there again. Well, he's stationed in Norfolk.
Yeah.
But whenever I go to Virginia Beach, it's definitely not the same as it was like in the early 2000s.
Yeah, no,
But yeah.
it's not. But if you look at Norfolk and you look across the bay from Norfolk, that peninsula as you're coming out of Norfolk from the base, that's Fort Monroe will be on your left as you're coming out. That's where I was stationed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I lived on Fort Monroe there, so I used to go out there and fish all the time, watch the boats go in and out. So it's a great area down there. And Hampton, I know a lot of friends. They went to Hampton University. It's a good university down there.
Yeah.
But it's just a great area to live in. Kind of like, it was really like a small town feel down there, all the time, no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
It really kind of felt that way. So
yeah. I actually lived in Norfolk because undergrad I went to Old Dominion in Norfolk.
yeah.
So even while I was at Hampton, I was still living in Norfolk. So yeah,
Nice.
kind of commuting back and forth.
Yeah, cross that bridge, huh? You love that every day, right?
Yeah, that was not fun. That bridge was not fun.
Is it wait, there's a tunnel too. That
Yeah,
thing
that's the
freaks
one.
me
That
out.
goes
I'm
under
like,
the water.
it's going under the water. What?
Yeah.
I did a speaking event down there, and this is when I was still in uniform. And it's funny because I just finished talking to a unit, and this little E4 came up to me, and she's like, "I think I have PTSD." I'm like, "Okay, I'll play game. Why do you think you have PTSD?" Because it's just a weird way to start a conversation, right? And she goes, "Well, when I was pregnant with my, she had twins. She was in 2 car wrecks going through the tunnel, right? The Hampton Bridge Tunnel. Not her fault. And so now she takes 2 hours to get to work
Oh,
because she's
wow.
avoiding the tunnel. She's going around
Wow.
to get to Fort Eustis. And I'm like, how are you doing that with twins? My younger sister had twins. My older brother had twins. Twins are no joke. And, she's like, oh, I'm just trying. So then I went and I said, well, yeah, you exhibit signs of PTSD. You might want to go talk to somebody. So then I went and talked to the commander and the first sergeant. And they had no idea that she was doing this, but they were getting ready to write her up because the performance was slipping. That's because she was so tired. It's taking her 4 or 5 hours to get to work and back, plus with twins. It's just crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, that tunnel can be kind of nerve-wracking when you drive through it if you're not. So I mean, it's like the Baltimore tunnel too, going to about Baltimore, Maryland, that tunnel. But you just go down, then you just go up.
Yeah.
They didn't build a drop.
You don't really see the water. Like it doesn't look like you're dropping into water in there, does it?
Only on your GPS when you have water all around.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of it from above, and it just like you could see going into the tunnel and then coming out of the tunnel and then just water around.
There's a big gap there. It's like it's like the Matrix.
Well, Cornetta, you also touched on, you said you worked closely with children and their parents, and you said you're big on teamwork. So how does it like, I guess people say it takes a village, right?
Yeah.
To raise a child. So tell us a little bit about the teamwork that you encourage with your patients and with your clientele.
Mm-hmm. So I for sure know that like the 30 minutes that I spend with a child is not going to be sufficient to meet all of their needs. It really does take a village. So I make it priority to collaborate with the teachers, with the family, if there's any other therapists that they see, as far as like PT, physical therapists, occupational therapists, ABA therapists. I try to get everyone on board so that we are on the same page, that we're working towards a common goal, because I know all of these other interactions also play a role in what we're trying to do and the goals that we're trying to reach. So for sure. And I do encourage parents to, if they have this team for their child, to take advantage of those resources that they have in that support team, and ask their questions, stay informed, try to get everyone on board, because it can be a lot, but trying to get everyone on board is, I think, key in reaching those goals that we put in place.
I know for my son Lloyd, when his teacher, she's big supportive of what you do and how you're doing, but you guys work so well together.
Yeah,
And it just helps Lloyd so much, because his confidence level in school, and he gets in the truck and we're driving over Disappointment, and I said, hey, did Miss Robinson, give something for you for, speech therapy? And he's like, oh yeah, we're going to do, she wanted to do this, this, and this, and then when he's done, I tell you, the biggest improvement I've seen in Lloyd is with his spelling test. He went from getting not even half of them right to where now he gets 90s and 100s, and 100s more so than 90s.
Wow.
And it's pretty impressive. But as time gone on, and there's different assignments that she gives Lloyd that Cornetta works with him on, his just confidence level in school has gone up. He was always excellent in math, but reading he was always behind, and we know why that, because I just said why he was behind. But now his reading's catching up to his math and his spelling, and formulating sentences and words and all those things you don't think about. But yet it's so important to a child as they're growing up and going through the education system.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's super important to keep in mind when working with children is that the goal is to see that progress in the classroom or out and socially. So not to just see my goals be checked off, but to also see that carry over into the classroom as well. So I'm always so happy to hear about his progress.
Oh, that's
Everybody
great.
loves Lloyd. He's just that type of kid.
He is.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any final words? Ms. Cornetta, do you have any advice for parents or anybody seeking help, or just anything that you want to put out?
Yeah, so I know you guys' podcast is big on mental health, which is really important as well, especially families with children with special needs. So I encourage them to reach out to other parents who are in similar positions. Like I said, get to know your support team, get a strong support team, and take advantage of those resources as them as resources. So stay informed, learn how to best advocate for your child, seek that information for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you. You're doing a lot of great work out there. We do appreciate you. Cliff, anything?
Nope. I just say, I want to say thank you for everything that you do, and not only for my family, but also for all the other families out there. Kids' mental health nowadays is so important. We know the effects that COVID had on them, and our last guest, Linda, talked about her daughter and things that went on to her. So it's all these things are very important, and all parents want to do great things for their children, right? And sometimes you just don't know how to do it. And, I know with Lloyd and getting him into speech therapy and seeing the change in him will have effects on his life, moving forward. And so, I just ask parents that if, you're going to the doctor, no matter what they're going to the doctor for, if just something doesn't feel right in your gut or just doesn't seem right, keep asking those questions. I mean, it took us almost probably 6 months to finally find the right eye doctor to correct Lloyd's problem, because we didn't know, we just knew something was right and that it wasn't clicking with us. So just very important to keep moving forward, and thanks for all that you do and for coming on to our podcast, Throat Punch Mondays. And it was really great and a lot of fun. All over to you, Lynn.
Thanks. This just goes to show that Throat Punch Mondays is for everyone. So we are a veteran podcast with mostly military people that come on, but we get people like Cornetta, who's doing great work in the community. And our community out there, you know, there's a lot of us that are parents. Most of us are parents. And so a lot of us need to hear this. So I love that we have this platform to share the different resources to everybody out there. So anyway, thanks guys for joining us on another episode of Throat Punch Monday. I'm Pacific Tita. You can find us on Facebook. It is VTT Throat Punch Mondays, also Veteran Trash Talk, and our Facebook group, VTT Official. Go ahead and head to our shop, VeteranTrashTalk.com. You can find our podcasts on there, and then you can shop the merch. But then until next time, thanks so much for joining us. Bye, guys.